where land and ocean meet. The coast is inhabited by both humans and animals because of the high amount of resources. It's the marine ecosystem that is in closest contact with humans. This is mostly the North Atlantic and the North Pacific. The Russian coastline are characterized by a lot of freshwater runoff and shallow waters that bottom freeze during the winter. The coast is characterized by winter freeze of many fjords, spring floods, algae blooms in spring and summer, and the subsequent migration of birds and fish species to the coastal areas, with predators following in their footsteps. It's strongly affected by global climate change, and we can already see that some of the characteristics are changing. The coastal waters get nutrition from several sources. This includes the runoff from land through the rivers. Also, the mixing of the water column makes the nutrition from the seabed available to the phytoplankton. Even migrating birds bring nutrition which is spread through their droppings. Kelp forests and seaweeds provide both food and habitat for a number of species, for example young of fish and crabs. And they, along with phytoplankton, make the nutrition and energy available to the rest of the ecosystem. Following the trophic chain upwards, we find zooplankton. Together with phytoplankton, we have food for example, jellyfish, mollusks like blue mussel and oysters, crustaceans like shrimp, fish like capelin, herring and salmon, birds and baleen whales like the humpback whale. Mollusks are a food source for seals like carp seal and harbor seals and otters. Along the coast we can also find echinodermates like sea urchin and sea stars. Very important species include capelin and herring, eaten by a number of birds like seagulls, arctic tern and eagles, seals, otters and whales like orcas and harbor porpoise, and they are the most important food source for Atlantic cod. Herring, capelin, cod and salmon have been and still is important for us humans. The Arctic coastal zone provides habitat to an estimate of 5 million seabirds alone, and the coast is a very important reproductive area. Mammals are usually on the top of the trophic chain, and whales and seals have been important food source for humans, along with salmon, herring and cod. We have a lot of power and have large impact on the ecosystem.
Regarding invasive species, we can speak about two animals which are considered as a big threat for the native species. The first of them is the American mink. Over the years, a big number of these American minks have been exported to European farms for food trade. Sometimes by accident and sometimes intentionally, some of these animals have been released, invading different habitats with devastating consequences. In the 70s, rat king crabs were found in the Norwegian waters. They roam freely in large numbers, eating almost everything it came across: sea urchins, mussels, fish eggs, and even kelp. Another threat for the coastal ecosystem is the human activity. The most important human settlements are located on the coastal areas. Eutrophication is a leading threat to the water quality around the world. This phenomenon is related with agriculture and industry. This gives an excess of nutrients in the water, promoting the growth of algae. An overgrowth of these algae populations, or algae bloom, can lead to turbidity of the water, and when the algae die, the water can be low in oxygen, resulting in the death of many fish. Algal blooms of certain species are considered to be harmful algal blooms. Heavy boat traffic, as we can see on the map, disturbs the coastal life and pollutes the environment. Overfishing, along with climate change, could facilitate the ecosystem shifts. This film from the Midway Film Project show us how the anthropogenic interferences can reach even the most remote places.
Diseases in coastal animals. Mammals. Seals are in danger of getting infected with fossa and distemper virus. This virus is important also in conservational point of view because it has already at least twice devastated harbor seal populations in Kattegat and Skagerrak regions. In addition, it is also able to infect terrestrial species. PDV is a morbillivirus that is closely related to canine distemper virus. Young seals are usually affected and they may show depression, anorexia, crusting conjunctivitis, nasal discharge, and dyspnea. Then the disease develops to pneumonia and mortality can be high, especially in previously unexposed animals. Vaccination with canine distemper vaccine may cause immunity to fossa and distemper virus. According to one study, the vaccination should be done twice to induce a persistent serum neutralizing titer. Especially gray seals seem to be important for the ecology of biliary fluke Pseudamphistemum truncatum, which is an emerging Baltic parasite. The parasite is also able to infect European otter and a variety of other fish-eating mammals, including humans. Its intermediate hosts are snails and few species of fish. Marine mammals are also reservoirs for marine species of Brucella. Brucella pinnipedialis has been recognized in seals. It is a facultative intracellular bacteria. Infected seals may be asymptomatic, but sometimes it has been associated with placentitis, abortions, neonatal mortality, meningoencephalitis, abscesses, or other syndromes. Marine mammals Brucella may be able to infect terrestrial mammals. Seals may also carry some zoonoses like Mycoplasma, sealpox, Trichinella, and Toxoplasma gondii. Birds. Aquatic wild bird populations act as a reservoir for influenza A viruses. There are different strains of the virus, some of which are non-pathogenic, whereas others are highly pathogenic, may cause death, and also have zoonotic potential. Aquatic wild birds also act as a reservoir for avian paramyxoviruses. Some of the serotypes are relevant for poultry. One of these causes Newcastle disease. Severity of the disease depends on the strain of the virus and the host. Even some low virulence strains are able to cause respiratory disease in suitable environmental conditions. Vaccines have been developed, but it is not always guaranteed that they work, as existing immunity against the vector might interfere with generic application of vaccines. West Nile virus, which is a mosquito-borne flavivirus, can be spread by migratory birds. West Nile virus is maintained in nature in a cycle between mosquitoes and birds. It may infect especially horses and humans, but also other mammals. Infected birds may stay asymptomatic or present signs of encephalitis and paralysis. Even death may occur, although it is rare.